So today we're going to talk blogging. Is blogging worth your time? Can blogging help you become an expert to show your credibility? Can you actually have blogs as a business? Can blogging help you share your message and make a better difference in the world? And even most importantly, which my guest is an expert at, can you make money from blogging? Can you have it as a revenue source? So we're going to get into all of that today. Today, I am privileged to have Connie Ragen Green, who is a best-selling author, marketing strategist, and entrepreneur who shares tons of resources that increases your visibility, your credibility, and your profitability online. Connie, thank you for joining me to talk blogging. I'm so excited because
Thank you so
you
much for having me, Shannon. I'm thrilled to be here.
you have published over 25 books now, right? Do I have
I
that number
have.
correct? And
Yep, yep.
it all started with a blog. Is that correct?
That is correct. I blogged the first book, and I believe the next book, I'm going to do another book in the next few months. I believe I'm going to blog that one because it's kind of fun. It's kind of easy to do, and it's repurposing at its greatest. And so, I'm happy to answer
Yeah.
any questions about any of this.
So I actually was talking with a client on Saturday, and he was like, "Why do we need a blog? What is a blog for?" And in his case, he's a nonprofit, um, and wanting to expand his reach and get his message out there. But blogs, for me, I answered his question, but how would you answer the question? What is a blog and why? Why blog? Why is it important?
We have to be visible to the audience that we want to attract. And the fastest, easiest way to do that is by setting up a simple WordPress blog and writing some blog posts, writing some things about who you are, what you know, who you serve, all of those details, and you show a little bit of your expertise because the alternative would be paying for advertising, which is very expensive and usually not very effective, so blogging just makes sense on so many levels. Plus, it's your virtual real estate. You own and control your blog, and you want a hosted blog, and that way you're in control.
Now that's true for if you're hosting a WordPress site, self-hosting a WordPress site, right? If you're blogging on somebody else's space, then that
I don't,
isn't
I
as
don't
true.
call
Is that
anything,
correct?
I don't call anything else blogging. So I have a Substack. I think I wrote a paragraph on there just to kind of be on there. I've been on Medium. They started in 2012, I believe, and I started with them a couple years later. They just had their 11th anniversary. And I post things on my blog first, and then I share it on Medium. And I hear people all the time that they're going to shut down their blog. They don't want to pay for hosting, which makes no sense to me because hosting is less than $100 a year. And they'll say for unlimited sites, but you really can have up to 100 sites. And it's less than $100 a year. So that really makes sense on lots of levels because even Medium, you're paying $5 a month or $50 a year for. But anybody else's platform isn't yours. And it's just a matter of time before something happens. I go back to the time when we used ezine articles and several other directories. And even back then, the people I was mentored by said, post it on your own blog first. Let Google index it on your site first, then share it to those other places. Well, you may know what ezine articles is if you're seeing this, or you might say, never heard of it because they had all these ads on their pages and all of those directories. There were probably 10 directories that we would all submit to over and over. But the people that did that exclusively, all of their stuff, it's still there, but there's zero traffic. I've tested it over the years. Zero traffic is coming there. So
So I consider a blog a platform where we share our content for free with our audience in a way to either encourage them, help them, inform them, entertain them. And it's an extension of serving others and getting our message out there. What is blogging to you?
blogging number one is a way that we can let people know who we are and what it is we're doing. What area, what topic are we talking about? And that way they say, oh, okay, they're either interested in you and your topic or not. And the next thing then would be the visibility so that people all over the internet can find you. I wouldn't do blogging though if those were the only reasons. If I was just, I might as well do YouTube videos and jump up and down and this and that. The third reason is the profitability, and that begins with building a list because it's really, really difficult to have a business when you don't have a community. Social media is not your community. It really isn't. You go someplace in person and speak. I speak all over. That's not your community. When you invite people to your blog to see what you're talking about, have some credibility, visibility, they end up seeing those blog posts everywhere because we syndicate and market them everywhere. Then they want to join the list. Then you have a business. I just don't feel that it's a business without people to connect with based on business. So
Right.
that's my feeling about it. And I feel pretty strongly about it because people want to market on
Yes.
social media, but you can't do that without building a list somewhere else. And your blog is the fastest, easiest way.
There are a number of people that who don't understand how a blog can be a business. So in your case, you build a list, you build a community that is on your list, and you serve them in whatever way it is you serve people. But how do you monetize that? How do you make that a business?
Well, in each blog post, and I have about 4,000 blog posts now because I've been doing this
Oh,
religiously since
wow.
2006. And with every blog post, down at the bottom, there's something I'm telling about myself. It's my author bio box. It's a paragraph at the bottom where I share something for sale. Half the time it's something of mine, half the time it's an affiliate product. Also, on every page of my blogs, and I now have 3 blogs, on the right hand side, you can see where you can download a report, you can download something in return for your name and your email address so that you're on a permission based list. Because this all has to be very legal. And the
Yes.
Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, they're very strict about it. They want you, to ask for the permission. And at the bottom of any email that the people receive from you, it's always very easy to unsubscribe. So it's a business because we've set it up as a business. So any business that you can think of has a very similar format. If you go into an auto dealer these days and you want some information about a car, maybe you'll test drive a car, something like that, they'll ask you for some contact information. They would like your name, your phone number, and your email address. When you give that to them, you're giving them permission to contact you. So it works for all industries. You go to the dentist, a lot of times the dentist wants you to join their list. And they'll say, would you like to sign up for my newsletter? And if you say yes, then you're agreeing legally to receive the emails. So that's a business. A business then is when you're reaching out regularly to people that have given you permission to tell them about the topic, the general topic that they originally saw you for. And usually that's on a blog. It's usually not on social media.
Right. And then you're just sharing additional resources that will help them for those things that they came to you in the first place.
Right. But if you're in business, you actually want to offer things for sale sooner rather than later. There are people that used to use a nurture sequence. The
Hmm.
people that I know personally, maybe a dozen people over the last few years, they've decided that the nurture sequence really isn't necessary. And in fact, if they have a nurture sequence that goes 5 to 10 emails over maybe a few weeks or a month or so, by the time they start offering something for sale, people have already been trained not to click on something that's for sale. So if you're in business and things are for sale, you want to let people know very, very quickly, immediately. And if you think of any business that you go to, maybe a store would welcome you to come in and browse, but that really isn't what they want. They want you to ask them about something that you could buy.
Right. Right. There's a few barriers that come up for people. Um, and one of them is about, feeling comfortable offering. But if somebody's coming to you already, they're trusting you enough to give you their information. They're they're giving you permission then to offer and things for sale to them. That's kind of a thought pattern I have. Another barrier that people come up with is, what do they say in a blog and so forth. Can you speak to those two things?
Yes, definitely. I think that if you have trouble asking people to buy things, whether it's your things or affiliate recommendations, I think
Hmm.
that that's an issue that has to be addressed because many people, they really don't want to ask people to buy, and they're usually not business people. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just who that person is, and they don't choose to change that. So, if that's the way you are, you have to take a look at what was the reason that you wanted to have a business on the internet. Because even if you're a service provider, you have to sell yourself over and over and over again. So think about why you don't want to ask people for something. And when I started, I met a neighbor. I was in a new house, new neighborhood, and I met a lady that was out on workers' comp. She'd been injured, and she said, "I sure wish I didn't have to go back to work." She had to go like an hour and a half each way, and she had two very young children, and she was gone so many hours a day. And she said, "I wish I could do something from home." So I told her about blogging. I told her what I was doing. I let her read my blog post. And she said, "Oh, that's so wonderful. I wish I could do that, but I'm afraid somebody would say they wouldn't like something I would write and they would tell me, and then I'd have to take it all down." And I said, "Well, I said, I'm sure. I said, I haven't had it yet, but I'm sure people will disagree quite a bit with what I have to say over time." And sure enough, I have people that will leave a comment and they'll say, "I don't agree at all with what you're saying," or they'll email me. But that kind of discussion is welcome. What if
Yeah.
we all believed the same thing every moment of the day? I guess politics would be easier, perhaps. Religion would be easier, but would business be easier? What if everybody agreed that one car, what if they decided that Chevrolet was the best car and they only had one model? So I think that's kind of what it gets down to. So
Yeah, Ford
I mean,
tried that. It doesn't work. One size does not fit all.
one size does not fit all, right? And we all have our own personalities. And because we're the business owner, then we're allowed to have that personality within reason. I choose not to curse, and I never ever would put somebody down. There was a discussion today on social media about that, where no, we have to be polite and kind to everyone. And then we decide. Some people are very religious in their emails, and I'm not. And some people use a lot of colorful language I describe, and I don't do that either. So I think to each their own. But again, it goes back to, are you in business, or do you just want to do something where you're sharing some information and people will come and you wouldn't dream of asking them to spend money with you or through you? So that's a choice that has to be made.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
what was the
and
other part of your question, Shannon? There was another part
it's
of
like
that.
the other part of this is another barrier that comes up is not knowing what to share on a blog.
Oh,
What do
okay.
you share on a blog? Do I have enough ideas? Do I have enough to write about? What do I talk about? I'm going to repeat myself if I talk about my same messaging, those types of things. You you started you started as a non-writer. Heard you say this. You've started
Yeah.
with you were not a writer. You wanted to write, but you weren't a writer,
Yes.
and you don't type. Um,
Two
um,
fingers.
and you're dyslexic as well. So
Yes.
so I
Extremely
mean,
dyslexic.
um, so yet you blog. I have a client who he dictates everything. His blog is dictated, his books are dictated. You're not doing that though. So
No.
share a little bit about what do you come up with how do you come up with content? How do you do content when you're not a writer? What's the difference there between writing and blogging? Because there is a difference. Um, so that's like three things I just threw at you there. So pick
All
one
right.
and go for it.
All right. So not only was I a non-writer, I also was a former teacher of 20 years. And people expect teachers to be able to do things in a different way. They expect them to be able to write. So if you said, gee, this person, they're going to start blogging, they were a teacher, what do you think? Well, a teacher? Well, of course, they shouldn't have any problem with that. So here I was, and I was embarrassed that I thought that people I had taught with would find my blog. I was so naive. I thought that people that knew me would be able to find my blog when Google hadn't even found it yet. And I thought they would read it and I thought they would laugh. I thought they would call each other and say, look, remember Mrs. Green? Look what she's writing. And they'd laugh hysterically. That was what I really thought. And I
It's
thought, you know
self-talk.
what? Yeah, I thought I have to just let them go because they weren't my friends when I was there with them at the school. So I decided to let them go. And over the years, I have run into teachers kind of regularly, several times a year. And I always give them my card and I say, look me up, Connie Ragen Green. Be sure to put all three names. You'll see what I'm doing now. And then I laugh hysterically on the way home when I'm driving. So that's just, something like that. So when I got started, though, first we have to pick a topic. We have to pick a niche. So for me, I wanted to choose the niche of internet marketing. I wanted to help people make money with internet marketing. And that was all well and good, except I wasn't making money yet with internet marketing. And when I finally was making money, it was very little the first month, 6 weeks or so. It was so small. So I thought, all right, what sub niche can I choose out of internet marketing that would be something I could do? So ebooks were brand new in 2006. It was a very big topic. It was an electronic book. This was before Amazon jumped into publishing.
Mm.
And I thought, you know what? I bet I could help people write ebooks. So my website was ebook writing and marketing secrets.com. And I showed people how to write. I had been teaching students that English was not their primary language. Their languages usually were Tagalog and Spanish. Very seldom were they native English speakers, but I thought I can help people with this. So, what was I going to write about on my blog? I would Google questions about ebooks. What's an ebook? Why would somebody write an ebook? Why would somebody buy an ebook? How long is an ebook? If you write a ebook, can you sell it? What would that look like? There were so many questions. How many pages? How many words? What grade level should you choose to write at? So I answered every question that I could find on Google with my own answers. And the more I did it, the more questions I had. And then finally, I had a little group of people that wanted to learn to write an ebook. This is by my third month or so. And they had questions, and every question they had became a new blog post. And then I expanded a little more and I said, well, what if you want to have an agent? What if you want to be a real writer? And I just kept going with that. And it was a lot of fun. And also, I came up with something that is called the 5 paragraph model. It's still out there if you Google for it with
Mm-hmm.
my name. And it's just like what we do in school, where you have to write an essay. The first paragraph, you tell us what you're going to tell us. So I'm going to talk about, how long an ebook is. And there are going to be 3 main points you're going to talk about in your article or blog post. And I'm using those terms interchangeably. In the second paragraph, we talk about the first point. Like length, it just depends on what the topic is. My first ebook was on real estate farming, choosing a geographical area and spending time with those people in person. You knock on the doors, you call them, you send them postcards, that kind of thing.
And that
So
was
I
a
would talk
subject
about that.
area where you knew a lot about, because you also, in
Right.
addition to teaching, you were also a realtor and
I
then
was
a real
also,
estate appraiser.
yes, yes, yes.
So
So
you
I
were
thought I'll do
tapping
that.
into your already existing knowledge in that case.
Right, right. And I did that for a neighbor. And I knew that real estate was never going to be my niche. I never wanted to do that. But I needed a sample of what an ebook was if I was going to help other people. So that's what I did. So the first paragraph, we're going to tell them what we're going to tell them. And that's going to be 3 points. The second paragraph, we talked about the first point. The third paragraph, we talked about the second point. The fourth paragraph, we talk about the third point. The fifth paragraph, we tell them what we told them. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
as you can see, by now you can see, and then you do it, you wrap the whole thing up. And those used to be 300 to 500 words, and that used to be okay. That used to get indexed by Google. Those days are over. You really have to have a minimum 500 words. 750 words is better for
50.
Google to index it. Yeah, by
Yeah.
the topic.
But that format at 300 words is still a lovely way to get used to that format and writing and can be considered some microblogging too, which
Yeah,
is useful.
but it's not business. You can't consider microblogging a way to build a business. If there's some reason that you feel like you can't write the 300 words, find excellent private label rights content and put it in there, because fixing to get ready is what they say in the South. I've lived in the South, and you're fixing to get ready. And if that describes your business, you better have another income stream, because you may never get ready. When you make that decision, you have to jump. I was the person that wasn't consistent. I was the person that would get excited about something and then quit before I really gave myself a chance. I did that for 20 years or more. And I came online and I thought, I have to be a different person now. I really want to have this business from my home computer. So my writing is very, very mediocre. And I was putting together my little five paragraph articles. I was expanding on that. And every day I wanted to stretch a little bit more, because if a month later I was still doing the same thing I had been doing, there really wasn't any growth. When you have growth by pushing yourself a little more, you have growth in income as well, because you have more confidence. You have to have that confidence to say, this is what I'm doing. I'm learning. Every time I learn, I'll share more with you, and just move forward boldly. It's easier than you think. It sounds like it's a great thing and takes leadership skill and lots of confidence and all that. It really doesn't, because if you look at what you do in your personal life, more than likely, I think everybody pretty much steps up when necessary. But usually there aren't that many opportunities to step up. With your business, there's an opportunity every day. Every day, I say, thank you, God, that I have this business. And then what can I do? What can I do a little better today than I did yesterday?
And we all have
And
to
that
take
works.
it one step
Yeah.
at a time, one foot in front of the other, and just
Yes,
keep trying and keep trying and knowing that we get better each time we try.
definitely.
I mean,
Definitely.
even if it feels like a failure, that's data. It's good data to make the next try with. So you said something earlier about how in the beginning you thought that your teacher friends would just find your website and or your blog and of course that's not how it works. People just don't magically find you, and that really isn't how it works now. So um let's talk a little bit about how it does work. How do people find your blog?
So for me, and you always want to have Google Analytics on your site. That way you can see where people are coming from and also where they go after they leave. You don't see their private information. You don't see their name or
Mhm.
email address or anything like that. But I can know that somebody came from New York or from the UK. They were on my site 3 minutes. And after that, they usually go to Facebook, it seems. Everybody, that's their go-to. I've read enough of Connie's blog. I'm going to Facebook. But you want to see, who these people are and how you can really serve them. And organic traffic is number one for me. It always has been, because it's free. So that means that you want a good keyword phrase for everything that you publish.
Now, a
And
keyword
that's
phrase is a search term. It's something that somebody is searching for in Google.
right. So, like, if you have friends over and you decide you want pizza, what would you put into Google if you had no idea what was in the area you're visiting? They want you to be the pizza person. So you wouldn't go to Google and say pizza. You would say pizza and a location, a city probably. And you might even say deep crust pizza. I'm not a pizza eater. Is deep crust one of the things? I think, right? Or
Yes, I
something with the
haven't eaten
crust.
pizza in a long time. So, um,
There's Sicilian pizza. Maybe you want to make sure that it can be delivered. Pizza
yeah.
delivery, New York City, 20 minutes. That way you're getting more specific. So if we do that with our blog post titles and then use that keyword phrase a few times within the article, within the blog post, then people, when they're searching for information on that, they'll find you. So ebooks were very, very big, and a lot of people found me that way. then I
Well, and what
expand
you
it,
were
expand it
doing, you
out.
were getting the keyword phrases. You were answering actual things that people were putting into Google. Those were your keyword
Right. And
terms.
we can all do that. Whatever you want to talk about, who else wants to know about that? And what would they type in to find that information? So that's a great way to be found. After that, social media is good, but it must be used in conjunction with your list and your blog. So I send people every single day I call it Twitter X right now. I'm not sure what we're supposed to call it. It's still at twitter.com, but with Elon, anything is possible. So I call it Twitter X.
Anything.
So what I do is I write my message to my list in the morning. I'm writing that in real time, sometime between 5 and 7 in the morning Pacific time. And in there, I'm sharing various things and I'm giving them the link so they can go over to Twitter and see what I wrote there. Because I can only write a little blurb on Twitter. There's not that much room there. So I'm sending people there and I end up making like a big circle of people. So people have come to my list one way or another. Because over time, you can really build the list and the business quickly because you've made relationships with people. And I've done every single day, I'm building a relationship with at least one person. Today, I wrote to someone who's been in a couple of my courses, and I really loved what she was writing in her email to her list. And I wrote and I said, I really love this. And I made a comment about it. I do that every single day. And over time, then you've got people coming to your list, maybe through an affiliate. Maybe they found you on social media. Whatever they did, all roads will always lead back to your blog because the more people you send to your blog, the more people Google will send back to you. Google is very fair because it's not a human. It can't, you know, play favorites. And I like that.
So there's a term that can be kind of scary for people, particularly in fact, I know people who have been blogging and having online businesses for years and they're still scared of this term. And that term is SEO. What is it for Connie and how do you implement SEO? You have a keep it simple kind of philosophies that I love.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so is SEO scary?
Now it's super, super easy and super, super fun. So what we were just talking about with pizza, and neither of us are pizza lovers. So, interesting topic, but maybe sometimes that's better. So for SEO purposes, pizza would be the number one keyword, but there's no chance you and I will live long enough to rank for that keyword.
Yes.
It's like real estate. It's like internet marketing. It's like ebooks, too big.
Too big.
So instead, you want a phrase. You can have 3 or 4 words, and then it's a regular keyword phrase. Or you could have 6, 7, 8 words, and it would be a long tail keyword phrase. I like long tail because if someone is looking for, let's use real estate now. If someone types in real estate, I don't know what they might find. Not going to find me because I'm still a broker. I'm not an appraiser any longer, but I'm still a broker in California. So if they put in real estate, nothing. But if they say 2 bedroom condo near the beach in Santa Barbara, they won't find me because I'm not doing it actively, but they'll find somebody that I know in Santa Barbara that's selling real estate and specializing in condos and has one available near the beach. So if you talk about it, if you were blogging about real estate, you would talk about so many people want condos now. Many of them, they prefer a 2 or a 3 bedroom. And if they're going to live in Santa Barbara, they'd love to be at least near the beach. That's keyword rich content right there. So it makes sense because just say you want to rent a house near a college. You have a child going to a college and you said, you know what, let's rent a house for them instead of putting them in the dorm. You know which keywords you would put in because you would try a few and make mistakes, and then you'd figure it out on the third, fourth, fifth try. You want a 4 bedroom house near UCLA, and you would write what else? 2 bathrooms, 2 or 3 bathrooms, maybe something like that, because you're going to have roommates.
Mhm.
So we all know what keywords are, and it's just a matter of letting them flow more freely with what we're saying and what we're writing. That's one reason I like PLR, because the people that I buy from, they tend to be really experts in research and in SEO. And so the
So
content they create is keyword rich already. I
So
love
for
that.
somebody who doesn't know what PLR is, it's private label rights. That's just like you would have your store brands of different foods. Somebody has written content and they sell a limited amount of rights for you to be able to use that content in whatever way they've given you the rights to do so. That's how I describe PLR. Is that your definition of PLR?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you don't have
Excellent
to write all your
definition.
you don't have to write all your content. You can, and I know you do a lot, by PLR, which is less expensive than having 100% ghost written content. I mean, it's
Right.
so
Right.
affordable to
I
do
do employ
PLR.
yeah, I do employ a ghostwriter these days, though my needs for content are so great
Yeah.
that I decided to do that about more than 2 years ago now. But it was years before I would put PLR content on any of my blogs. And the reason, I thought, well, people will be able to tell that that's not mine. And I just thought that my voice wouldn't be the same the way I'm writing. And so I wouldn't do it. So finally, I gave in. And I don't know how many years I was online before that happened. At least 5 years, I'm going to say. And the article that I chose was about list building. And I thought, well, the topic is a perfect fit. And I put it on there and I went through it and I added a couple things and changed a couple things, but not a whole lot, and put my author bio box at the bottom. People began writing to me in my emails and on social media, and they said, I love this post. Wow, I got so much from this post. And it hurt my feelings
Oh,
because they loved it because it was professionally written. And I thought, okay, let me see, how long are you going to take to get over this? I gave myself maybe 15 minutes. And I thought, okay, so many people are always going to write better than you, Connie. Get over
there's
it and
a
move on.
success tip
And
right there. Give yourself 15 minutes to get over it and move
to
on.
get over it.
There's a
And so
success tip.
and so then I could have said, well, you know what? I'm never using that professional quality PLR private label rights content ever again. If people like me, they're going to read what I wrote, every word. No, because I'm in business. So I started using PLR more and more and more. And yeah, it made a big difference. The quality is good. And who noticed it more quickly than almost anyone? Google. Google started sending me more organic traffic because the private label rights content was so good. So now I make sure to have PLR on my sites very regularly.
But I do want to point out part of your process with PLR isn't just to take this at PLR and slap it up as is. You do go through and you have a process too. As a subject matter expert, you are an authority in the topic already, to go through and make sure that you agree with what it says and that you're okay with sending it out to your people and making whatever tweaks
Yeah,
is necessary.
definitely. That's a good point you're making, Shannon. That's definitely true because the number one use for private label rights content is to learn from it. So I
Mm.
learn a whole lot of things from it. So I'm reading it through, I'm learning things, and then I'm going in and saying, well, in this case, though, I really want to share an example, something from mine. So it's going to take me just as long to get a finished post done that's based on almost exclusively on PLR as one that I write from scratch myself. Because with the PLR, I want to go through that and I want to see what I can do. And I want to link to other articles because that's another trick that we use in our blogs. You're always linking to another post that you have on the same blog or a different blog.
Yeah, that's an important SEO thing, is to create these rabbit trails for Google to follow and to let them Google know that they're interlinked, but also to serve your audience as far as like, hey,
Yes.
this is something else related that you might want to look at because it might be useful to you. Um,
Right.
like you,
Yeah.
I know that's something that I try and do. Um, in the new blog is that when something is related, that I'm trying to make sure that there's some that I'm sending them, like, if you like, if this is related, this springboards off, and sharing that there as a service, that's just another way to to allow people to continue to be in your world, to serve them, to share information with them, and for them to learn you. and who you are. We are about out of time. There's two things I wanted to come to is um, one is your blogging course is called Really Simple Authority Blogging. And so the authority blogging terminology is really, I mean, obviously I love the really simple, but authority blogging to me says something. It speaks to a certain, what you letting your audience see you as an expert is what it speaks to me. What does authority
Yes.
blogging mean to you?
Yeah, exactly that. You really want to be an expert and an authority, not the expert, not the authority, an expert and authority. So one of many. And the way you can do that is with consistent blogging where you're serving your audience, you're sharing information. You want people to read your blog post and say, wow, I really didn't know that. And then you want them to reach out to you however you prefer to be reached out to. And becoming an authority, it's so valuable. You have to do that if you're a professional. If you go to law school or whatever you do, I was at a physical therapist today. We were talking about it before we started. And these people want to be experts and authorities in what they're doing because there are so many people doing things, yet very few people will take that time and make that effort to stand out, head and shoulders above the crowd as an
Well,
expert or an authority.
the physical therapy thing is an excellent example because I also was looking up physical therapists today and I was looking at their websites and I was looking to see if they had a blog because I wanted to get a sense that this was going to be a right personality fit for me, whether this was really somebody who was going to be able to serve my specific needs and we'd be able to connect. And I was looking at their online content to kind of get that vibe. And so
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that until now when you said that, but really it serves that as well. And it's like I'm going to spend thousands of dollars in physical therapy over the next whatever I already have, and I would really, I want to check out and make sure that the person I'm spending money with, because there are lots of experts out there. There's lots of people that can serve the needs, but there's only certain ones that you're going to feel connection with and
That's
and
right.
that
That's
matters
right.
that matters especially in today's society that matters um
Yes, and the second part of that, so we want to be the authority, but we also want our blog to have a good look and feel to it, so that when somebody arrives there, they know who we are. We want that photo right there because there's still trust issues online, and we want
well
an
there should
about
be.
page, tell something about yourself. And I like to have a post, I pin a post to the top so people can take a look at that. And that way, you're on an authority site, you're dealing with an authority in that subject matter area, and you feel safe and cared about and cared for. And that's how a beginning of a relationship can be with your business.
So you've talked as we were talking here and as we wrap up or like you've talked about blogging and you have a course that's really simple authority blogging. You also have, one of your 25 plus books is called book blog broadcast, the
Yes.
trifecta of entrepreneurial success. That's a mouthful for me to say, but it talks about, I have this on my Kindle, and it talks about those three components. I can visualize that you have a triangle with little circles in each thing, the book, the blog, the broadcast, and how all of those work together to to build your entrepreneurial success, to have a blogging as a business and monetizing as a business. And then so that's out there. You have that. And then the other thing you've talked about is this idea of, I know you call it syndication, but it's, sharing of your content over and over and over again because we can't just expect people to come find us. We have to like scatter seeds out into the universe and let where they're at so that they know that we exist. And that can be a little nerve-wracking, I know. But you also have a course that's called Syndication Optimization that shares, well, you're very, very generous about showing all your seasons of that and sharing exactly how you do that. Are there other resources that out of those, other than those three, that people can go to learn more from you, Connie, about blogging and how to get started, like making money with their blogs and establishing their credibility and their expert status with their blogs?
I would say get the book, and I make it free on a regular basis. The Kindle version, I'm able, with the Kindle Select program, I'm able to make my books free 5 days out of every 90 days. I try to take advantage of that. So if someone, from here, from your community, if they would like to have that, just reach out to me, conniegreenhouse@yahoo.com, and tell me you would like to have that book as a free download. I'll make it free the next day. It's usually that easy. And a book's a good place to start, because even if you buy the paperback copy of that book, and I don't even think it's $10, if you buy the book and read the book or download it and go through it, you'll have a good understanding and you'll be on the right track. And that way you will have spent no money, or a very insignificant amount, honestly, compared to what it costs to do business. And if you resonate with that, and if you get on my list, perhaps, and you'll be doing it through Shannon, so that's a wonderful thing. Shannon's a wonderful resource, brilliant, brilliant teacher. And when you do that, then you'll see if you're ready, if you want to come into a course where it's a bigger commitment. It's a financial commitment and it's a time commitment. And I use project-based learning. I always have something going on and I want people to be included. And a few people do, most people don't. But of course, that's a personal choice. And as far as monetizing the blog, something that I'm going to be sharing in this season of Really Simple Authority blogging is how you can take one blog and make it like a product. I have the one that I make about 1,000 a month from that I show. There are more that I don't show. So
And
you can take a
when you're
blog,
saying
teach people.
that's an individual blog post, that blog
Yes,
post is worth $1,000 a month, isn't it? Is that, or is it a
yes,
day
yes.
now? It's
Yeah,
like
a month.
it's that's not the whole blog. It's just one post. The way that you have managed to monetize it and
Right.
and serve
And
people
then
through that.
another thing I do is my productivity challenge. I've done
Right.
that 14 years, consecutive years. One year I put it on a website and let people opt in for free and go through it. But I think it's really better on the blog. And every year I write more and more now. So I do it 30 days. And this time it was 16,000 words, maybe more. So I have blog posts, and you can go to 2023productivitychallenge.com and see that, because you buy a domain and send people there to that post. That's a whole course that they can go to. And if you're going to do this, stop, because these make a lot of money. I don't even talk about the monetization of those challenges, but start with the 10-day challenge. What can you challenge someone to do for 10 days? And it doesn't matter. In the old days, I had people leave a comment under the blog, and then I published everybody's name at the end. People don't do things that way anymore. Instead, they want to go very quietly and take a look, and they'll implement as they go. But you could do a 10-day challenge. It could be about health and wellness, eating more fruits and vegetables, or preparing more of your own food instead of getting takeout or something. You can do a challenge on anything and have things for sale. Start with books from Amazon. And finally, you'll have things that you'll do once a month, once a quarter, something like that, that will bring in income even when you're not paying attention to it, because there'll be evergreen topics. Productivity is always going to be a good topic. Health and wellness, anything around that, is always going to be very popular. And it's fun. It's so much fun to create the content. And in the process of doing all this, I turned myself into a writer. The only thing I didn't do was learn to be a touch typist. When I'm tired from writing, when my hands are tired, I have to put up my fingers so they can have a rest.
She
Because
types.
I
She
did I
literally
did
types
try.
with two
I typed like
fingers.
this, right? So I did try to learn many times, and the last time was when had been online a few years, and I went back to Mavis Beacon. I think everybody knows Mavis Beacon.
Yeah.
She let me down one more time, and I said, Mavis, I'm not going to try anymore. I'm just not going to. So everything that I do, and I've published millions of words at this point,
Mhm.
Everything is done with two fingers. So we do what works for us instead of saying, I can't do this because I can't learn to type and forcing myself to learn to type. I probably could be forced into learning, but I
You can
chose
find a
not to.
way within who you are. Find a
That's
way
right. We
within
have
who
to
you
be
are.
ourselves. Yeah.
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 And there's so many ways that we can do that. Okay. Connie, thank you so very much. If you want to find Connie online, she's at conniereagangreen.com. I will have all the links in the notes. And thank you for sharing. You're so generous with what you share and how you're willing to serve others. And you actually answer your email. You threw out your email. I know that you answer those. So I just want to say thank you. And really simple authority blogging is her blogging course if you want to check that out. And then the book is Book, Blog, Broadcast, the Trifecta of Entrepreneurial Success.
Thank you so much, Shannon.